It talks about the terms, so the amount of the loan amount, conventional loan, you have to put in the type of loan, the period. It's similar to the financing addendum. It talks about when somebody has to, if within blank days, 30 days if left blank, after the effective date of the contract, a written loan commitment has been provided to the, in this paragraph, is not issued by the lender, or the commitment required that any buyer's property to be sold, either buyer or builder may terminate this contract within 14 days after the expiration of such period of time for the issuance of provided in section 6 below without interest, less all expenses incurred by builder regarding the preparation for any changes to the construction of the lot. So it goes into more of detail about the financing commitment than the standard FHA or the standard financing addendum. And then it goes into the construction of the residence, and I'm not going to go into all that, but then we're going to go in paragraph 6. This is highly different than the KCRAR. And Corey, can you explain to everybody why it is highly different, and what does paragraph 6 mean?
Well, KCRAR contract has actually come along a little bit. I think they stole the idea from Stan Woodworth, but they actually have this commencement in the new home contract as well.
Okay.
But what this means, see that paragraph 6 right there, starting at line 76. Mm-hmm. What this means is that the buyer acknowledges that their money is non-refundable and they're never ever going to get it back. When we sign this, the buyer is saying, you know what, I'm confident we're good on my end. I'm giving you specific instructions, Mr. Builder, to commence construction. Start the project. There's nothing on our end holding us back. Our money is non-refundable. We understand that. We understand it so well that we're signing our names again on this specific paragraph. So you're going to have the builder and the buyer both sign right there. Now, if financing is, if the whole contract is contingent upon financing, you don't sign this. If you're representing the buyer, you do not sign this, because this makes your buyer's money non-refundable. There's no way you're getting that money back for your client. So if you're representing the buyer and they are not pre-approved, they're not good to go, you do not sign this. And if a builder has a problem with it, then the builder will wait until you are pre-approved. But your job in that situation is to represent the buyer, and that is representing the buyer for looking out for their best interest. So if they are approved and they are good, sign it up, because we're building a house. Right?
I have a question, because even though you have a pre-approval, it's still contingent upon financing though, so do you have to have them sign this regardless?
This says loan approval, not pre-approval.
Yeah, not pre-approval, actual loan approval. Okay. And that's, you go from the basic pre-approval process, which is, pretty sugar-coated and pretty easy to do, versus loan approval, where it goes through underwriting. And they kind of do a little digging to make sure that Mr. and Mrs. Buyer are qualified to build that home.
Okay, let's read this paragraph. Corey, can you read this for us?
Absolutely.
Here? Thank you.
On the new construction contract, or the KCRR forms, commencement or continuation of construction. Seller shall not be required to commence, or if already commenced, continue on site construction of the home until buyer has satisfied or buyer and seller have agreed to waive the financing conditions and or the condition for the sale of the buyer's property, if any, checked in paragraph 7. If buyer desires construction on the home to commence, or if already commenced, to continue construction prior to satisfaction or waiver of the financing conditions or condition for the sale of the buyer's property, if any, then by signing this paragraph, buyer agrees that all earnest money and additional deposits shall be non-refundable unless prohibited by law. Even if buyer is unable to obtain the loan described in the attached addendum, or unable to sell buyer's existing property as specified in this contract or attached addendum, i.e. a contingency, this supersedes that, or attach addendum if seller has performed under the terms and conditions of this contract. So, this is a very, very important little paragraph. If your buyer is not 100% good to go, do not sign that paragraph. Because they are... Yeah, well, they're never getting their money back. I've been down the road with large sums of money, and the buyer did not get their money back because they signed that. And, you know, just tough luck, but...
I've had $30,000 that people just gave to a builder because they weren't able to close. They signed an agreement that they are going to close. They didn't close, so they lost $30,000. So, and you probably seen even bigger numbers.
Yeah, my worst one was $140,000.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was an ugly couple
That's conversations.
A bad day. But yeah, guy lost $140,000, and he couldn't get his final loan approval. Believe it or not, you put $140,000 down. You think that you could get a loan, but apparently you're a dirty rat and you couldn't get it. So he lost it, $140,000. I mean, it was awesome to watch him sit across the table and act like a child and say, "I want my money back." I'm like, "You signed it. Your attorney, he signed it. You want to take a look at it?" And his attorney goes, "Dude, there's nothing you can do. You can go to court, you can pay me a lot of money, but you're going to lose." So, no, I was representing the builder.
Oh, I got you.
Of course.
Good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is the Stan Woodworth contract right here, and it says commencement. Builder shall not be required to commence or, if applicable, continue construction of the residence until after the satisfaction or waiver of any financing or similar contingencies, unless buyer agrees to the following conditions. In consideration for builders commencing or continuing construction of the residence prior to the satisfaction of any financing or similar contingencies, the deposit shall be non-refundable, including the purpose of this section upon failure to obtain financing, commitment, or funding. If this earlier construction provision is to be applicable, buyer and builder are to sign below. Now, it took Stan a lot fewer words to write pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That you ain't getting your money back if you sign this paragraph.
Mm-hmm. And something goes wrong.
And there was no mention about it ever being refunded, if legal, or
yeah.
The other one it talked about.
If prohibited by law,
unless prohibited by law.
Yeah.
And then his contract, it doesn't say anything about
Stan doesn't care because Stan knows
that if
that it's allowable by law, and so
yes.
he doesn't care.
Right.
Is that typically something that has to be done to proceed with buildings?
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, because the builder, now you got to look at it from the standpoint of the builder. Mm-hmm. He's going to continue to move forward on building a house for somebody because they want him to either make changes or to have it done ready for them when they're ready. And so all he's saying is that if you want me to do that, no problem. You just have to make it non-refundable, and then I will move forward. He still takes a risk. So what if he gets that house done and you don't close on it? He's still paying interest on that thing until somebody else takes it away from him and buys it.
Well, he went from having a build job, guaranteed profit, to now having a several $100,000 liability.
Right.
And so he's not going to move forward until he knows that Mr. and Mrs. Buyer are qualified and are ready to sit down and have a serious agreement with non-refundable money.
Right.
So I can't blame either side for it.
So if somebody has like a spec home that they're not making any changes to, with a contingent on the sale of their other home, would this not be necessary?
The builder still doesn't have to move forward with completing it if it's not complete. So if it's
if it's like halfway through the process.
Right.
Yeah.
But
the builder can stop construction and try to take a contract, but where's the benefit if you're representing the buyer? Yeah, that'd be great, but representing the builder, there's no way I'm allowing my builder to do that because he has a construction loan and he's paying interest every month on that construction loan. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we really appreciate the fact that you like this home. However, until you get your financing straight and or sell your old home, you're kind of out of luck at this point. The home will still be here. If it was meant to be, it was meant to be, but Mr.